You know, we all rely on the post for some of life's most critical documents. But what happens when that system just stops working? For millions of people across the UK, that's not a hypothetical, it's their reality. So today, let's really unpack the real-world consequences of Royal Mail's broken promises.
Just let this sink in for a moment. This is a real story from a real person. A council tax bill, a court summons for a hearing that had already happened, and a liability order for the debt. All three landed on their doormat on the exact same day. Imagine the panic. One delay just threw someone's life into complete chaos.
And here's the thing. That person is not alone. Not by a long shot. Millions of people are dealing with this kind of thing, getting crucial information way too late. So the big question is, how did we even get here? Why is this happening?
Okay, to really get a grip on this, you have to look at the numbers. And believe me, this isn't about a bad week or a few isolated mistakes. This is a deep, systemic problem that's been building for years. So check this out. For first-class mail, Royal Mail is supposed to hit a 93% on-time target. Their actual score? Just 77%. That means nearly 1 out of every 4 first-class letters you send or receive is arriving late. And it's not just first class. Oh no, the problem hits second-class post too. They have a really high target of 98.5% on-time delivery. Well, they only managed to hit 92.5%. Now that gap might seem smaller, but we're still talking about millions of late items and another promise broken. And this is where it gets kinda crazy. The regulator, Ofcom, actually knew things were bad, so they lowered the targets to give Royal Mail a more realistic goal to hit. And they still missed them. That just tells you everything you need to know about how serious the operational issues really are.
Just look at the fines. You can literally see the problem getting worse in real time. They've basically doubled year after year. This isn't just a penalty. It's the regulator screaming that things are going in the wrong direction. This constant failure has led to a pretty jaw-dropping penalty. It's a clear signal from Ofcom that, you know what? Patience is officially run out. Yep, 21 million pounds. It's a staggering figure, right? But it's not a random number. It's designed to grab attention and, frankly, to force Royal Mail to finally get its act together.
So let's put this fine into perspective, because it's a really big deal. This is the third largest fine Ofcom has ever handed out. It comes after Royal Mail failed to meet its targets for the third year in a row. And get this, it was originally going to be 30 million, but it was reduced because Royal Mail admitted they were at fault. So this is no slap on the wrist.
But look, these big numbers and corporate fines, they don't tell the whole story. The real story, the one that actually matters, is about the impact on people's lives. Behind every single one of these statistics is a person waiting for a letter that could change everything.
And you don't just have to take my word for it. The regulator themselves said it perfectly. This isn't just a logistical mess-up. It's a fundamental breach of trust. When you buy a stamp, you're buying a promise, and that promise is being broken millions of times over.
This is where it all becomes painfully real. Think back to that first story. Imagine it's you. You miss your day in court, not because you ignored it, but because the letter never showed up. And suddenly, you're facing a debt order, you're in default, all because the post failed. The stress, the anxiety, it's just unimaginable.
Or how about this one? Another real case. An eviction notice shows up more than a week late. This person is now living in a constant state of fear, waking up every single day wondering if today's the day the bailiffs show up at their door. Why? Because the warning they were entitled to simply got lost in the mail. That right there is the real cost.
So, with all these horror stories piling up, the regulator has basically drawn a line in the sand. This is it, a final warning. The time for excuses is over, and the demand now is for real, immediate action.
And Ofcom's instructions are crystal clear. There is no wiggle room here. First, Royal Mail has to publish a recovery plan, and it better be a good one. Second, they need to make, and I'm quoting here, actual significant improvements. No more empty promises. And third, the big one, they have to rebuild our trust.
And to make sure this isn't just talk, there's a new, very specific target. It's basically a safety net to stop those insane, weeks-long delays we've been hearing about. From now on, 99% of all mail has to get there no more than 2 days after its due date. It's a line in the sand. And trust me, they are not messing around. Ofcom has made it plain and simple. If Royal Mail can't meet these new standards, then these multi-million-pound fines are just going to keep on coming. This is their last chance to get this right. So,
After all of this, we're left with this one simple question, right? We've seen the awful data, the huge fines, and the devastating human cost. A stamp isn't just a piece of paper you stick on an envelope. It's supposed to be a promise. And when that promise is broken again and again, it's not just letters that get lost, it's our faith in a system we all depend on.
You know that feeling, right? Waiting for an important letter, checking the match every day. Well, what happens when that system we all depend on just stops working properly? For Royal Mail, it means getting hit with an absolutely massive fine. Let's get into it.
Yep, 21 million pounds. That is the jaw-dropping penalty that the UK's communications regulator, Ofcom, just slapped on the 509-year-old postal service. So the big question is, why? Why such a colossal fine? What on earth went so wrong? Well, it really all boils down to one thing: a major failure to meet the delivery targets they are legally required to hit. We're not talking about a few letters being a bit late here and there. This was a systemic breakdown during the 2024-25 financial year. Okay, let's look at the actual numbers, because this is where it gets pretty wild. Royal Mail is supposed to deliver 93% of all first-class mail within one working day. Their reality? They only manage 77%. And for second class, the target is 98.5% within 3 days. They only hit 92.5%. These aren't just small misses. They are, as Ofcom put it, well short of what's required.
I mean, just look at that gap for first-class mail. That 16-point difference between the target and what actually happened is huge. This represents a fundamental failure of the premium service that, people pay extra for. And what's the real-world impact of all this? This isn't just about spreadsheets and percentages. The regulator says this failure means millions of important letters are arriving late. We're talking about things like hospital appointments, crucial legal documents, even birthday cards. People just are not getting the service they paid for. Simple as that. Now, it's really important to understand that this isn't just about one bad year. The reason the fine is so big is because it's part of a much bigger story, a pattern of repeated failures that has pretty much exhausted the regulator's patience. That's right, this is the third time Royal Mail has been fined by Ofcom for this exact reason, missing its targets. In fact, over just the past couple of years, they've already been fined over £16 million for similar problems. It's a clear, consistent pattern of underperformance.
And to really put this into perspective, that £21 million penalty isn't just a slap on the wrist. It is the third largest fine Ofcom has ever issued to any company for any reason. That's how seriously the regulator is taking this.
So after this historic fine and a clear history of failure, what happens now? Well, Ofcom has made it crystal clear that they're done with promises. They are demanding real, concrete action, and they want it now.
This quote from Ofcom's Director of Enforcement, Ian Strawhorn, really says it all. He said these persistent failures are unacceptable and that Royal Mail must rebuild consumers' confidence as a matter of urgency. You can't get much clearer than that. The message is simple. The time for excuses is officially over.
So, here is Ofcom's ultimatum, laid out in two very clear steps. First, Royal Mail has to come up with an urgent and, this is the key word, credible improvement plan. Ofcom even pointed out that a plan they submitted for the last year resulted in zero improvement. Ouch. Second, they have to actually follow through on this new plan, or the fines are just going to keep coming.
Which leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? With millions of letters late, public trust at a real low, and the regulator breathing down its neck, can this 509-year-old institution finally turn things around? Can it deliver the reliable service that its customers expect and frankly deserve? I guess only time will tell.
Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the world one slide at a time. Today, we're tackling something you see all the time, but probably never really see. That little redirect notice. You know the one. You click past it in a split second, but what if we didn't? What is it actually trying to tell us?
Here it is. This exact message has probably flashed across your screen 1,000 times. It's one of those little bits of internet furniture that just kind of exists. We see it, we accept it, and we click right past it. But today, we're going to stop and actually read it. Because, believe it or not, it's way more important than you think.
Okay, so let's really dive in here. Because hidden inside these few lines of pretty boring text is a fascinating little story. It's a story about how the internet works, how it tries to keep you safe, and the power it puts in your hands, even in these tiny, tiny moments. To really get it, we're going to do what we do best. We're going to break this message down piece by piece. And let's start with the most obvious part, its name.
I mean, the biggest clue is right there in the title. It's not an error, it's not a warning, it's a notice. It's just a friendly heads up. The system is just being open and honest about what's about to happen. You're being redirected. In other words, you're being sent from one place to another.
So a redirect is basically just a digital signpost. Imagine your favorite coffee shop moves down the street. They'd tape a sign to the old door that says, "Hey, we've moved. You can find us at our new address." A redirect is just the internet's version of that. It's a simple tool to make sure you end up in the right place, even if the original link is old.
And this part right here confirms it. This is an active handoff. The page you were just on is literally saying, okay, I'm passing you over to this new destination now. It's making the whole process visible instead of just whisking you away with no explanation at all.
So that brings us to the most important part of the whole notice, the real meat of the message, the destination URL. This is where you're going. Now, I know what you're thinking. This just looks like a bunch of technical gobbledygook, right? Something for computers, not for people, but it's actually a super detailed address, and you can read it just like a map.
It's really easy to break down. You've got three main parts. First, there's HTTPS. See that S at the end? That's your friend. It means the connection is secure. Then you have www.upi.com. That's the main website, the domain. And then all that stuff after it, that's just the specific path to the exact page, kind of like the aisle and shelf number in a giant library.
And what's so cool is that this path tells a story. It's not just random. We can see we're going to upi.com. We know we're headed for the World News section. The article is even dated, October 15, 2025. And we even know the subject. It's about Royal Mail getting fined. You get all of that info before you even land on the page.
So you see, this whole notice isn't just a statement. It's really a question. It literally pauses the internet for a split second and puts the power right back in your hands.
And the choice it gives you is crystal clear. It's a simple yes or no. You've seen the destination, you know what the article's about. Now, what do you want to do? Do you proceed or do you go back? You decide. And this moment of choice is so important. It's a basic feature of a good, well-behaved internet. It's all about transparency and security. You get to ask, wait, is ubi.com where I expected to go? Or does that link look fishy? This little pause is your chance to double check and stay in control of where you're going. So we've pulled it all apart. Let's put it back together. What's the real takeaway from this tiny little message we see every day?
It all comes down to this. It takes an invisible, automatic process and makes it visible and user-controlled. It's a moment of honesty in a system that could, if it wanted to, send you anywhere without you even knowing. It's a small but really vital piece of internet etiquette.
So you can actually turn this into a super quick, powerful habit. Think of it as your 3-second redirect checklist. 1. Just notice it. Acknowledge the message is there. 2. Scan the domain. In our case, upi.com. Does it look legit? And 3. Choose. Go forward or go back. The whole thing takes less time than a blink, but it's a great habit for staying safe online. You know, the redirect notice is just one little breadcrumb, one tiny command that we're allowed to see. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other invisible signposts, what other hidden rules and instructions are guiding our journey online every single day? And thinking about that is what makes exploring this digital world so endlessly fascinating.